Hi everybody, it's Christine at CLAldridge Art, and I have come to you today with a drawing video. I was reminded by one of my subscribers today that I had done only one drawing video, and I thought that I would do another one just because I can. This is, of course, a style that I am very comfortable with. Some of you who watched my stream know that I just finished this particular dragon, and he is in my shop. He matches the other two dragon drawings that I have done recently. This one, of course, is little Spica, and the finished PDF version that is currently in my Etsy shop has her little story down here in this box. And then this is another recent drawing, which is really just a frame for a book of frames that I am working on that was inspired by something that I saw Anne over at A Colorful Life do with one of the two frames that I put in my last book, Fabulous Flowers. So in this book, in addition to all of the regular drawings, I also put in two empty frames. And Anne used, I believe it was this, yeah, I think it was this one. And she had worked in the surreal, I want to call it Surreal Fantasies, and I want to say that one is by Ikuko. And she had done one of the really cool little girl portraits in there. And so she cut it out of her book and she glued it into this frame and colored all around it and then embellished it with sequins and all kinds of things. And she was so delighted with the final result that she actually framed it and put it on her wall under glass. So I was terribly flattered by that. And so I thought I would do a little bit of drawing on this particular one, just sort of show you my process. This is a much more Mandela-like drawing that I've been doing recently. I have put a small, you probably can hardly see it, but I put a circle around it. That may or may not actually happen, but it's there just as a marker. I mark out, when I do symmetrical drawing like this, I tend to mark my pages out. And of course they're very precise. So what I have done is, let me zoom you down a little bit and see if I can show you this. Make sure I'm in good focus. Okay, as you can see, I have these particular flowers. I simply used a compass and, you know, what so this is sort of a drawing tool to make a perfect circle. And I chose a center point, and then I drew it because I want it to be behind this first element. I do a lot of layering in my drawing work, so things on top of other things. And then I did use a ruler when I set out my, I didn't measure these, I just did this by eye. I've done so many of them now that I can do that. But I did mark some millimeters off, or actually some tenths of inches off, just so I have a guide of where to start so that things are even. And now I'll just simply pick up a pen and start to draw. So, how is everybody tonight? It is, whoops, I'm moving that back so I can move this up so that I can actually see it, but you can too. It is Monday night. You might wonder why I just started right there, and that is just so I can have a beginning point. And now I can do this. I'm just drawing some petals. It's Monday night, and it is, wow, it's 10 p.m. I did not realize that it was quite that late. As those of you who were with us yesterday know, Sunday is a big streaming day for the Sunday Dream Team, which is Deb and myself and May, and then followed by Shalene, and then lastly Belinda. Belinda is actually, I did in fact use this little circle inside here, and it just gives a nice clean line so that I don't have to think about it. And then you never know what kind of tools I'm going to use. Now I'm going to hash mark out just a few of my center points. Once again, I don't get too fussy about these being exact. I just mark them off. And then that sort of gives me I want this to be about, yeah, right about there. So I just do these sort of by eye. And once again, these are just where to begin my curve kind of thing. And I've been watching, of course, a little bit of YouTube today. I caught part of Dee Dee. I was watching it back, and then I got a notification that Sandy, who has been working on my, she's doing a series featuring one of my books, Flowers of Fantasy, and she is working on the basket drawings. She's used the Koh-i-Noor tritones on the wicker on the basket, and they are really incredible. And I had seen her start it, but I hadn't seen the drawings since she actually finished the baskets. And those Koh-i-Noor tritones are just the absolute perfect thing for coloring wicker. Just proving that the right tool is sometimes needed, because it would take hours and hours and hours to get that kind of effect with just 3, colored pencils. And the human, we're not really capable of true randomness of where the colors change, but of course the pencils are. And so the ultimate effect was true random, and just like nature. And anyway, they're gorgeous. If you haven't seen those, I strongly urge you to go over to Color Creatively and check out Sandy's channel. And then I was over, Nick and Tina were streaming today, and unfortunately their stream did fail, but before it did, I noticed that there's another streamer who has started. Her name is Barb W. I'm then some numbers. I'm subscribed to her channel, but I didn't actually write it down for you, and I'm sorry. But she was doing this very cool thing where she was painting rocks with acrylic paint and doing a little adorable Cheshire cat face on one of them, and she had drawn a dragon on the other, which is, of course, what drew me in, because I'm currently working on dragons. Okay, so now I've got my outline, and now I'm just going to add a little shading, and I apologize that my hand is casting a bit of a shadow here. See if I can fix that. I don't usually draw in front of people, so I'm trying to maintain the talking side of my brain alongside the creative side, and I'm having a little bit of a tough time. All right, so now, by the way, I use Pigma Microns. I have here in my little collection, beside my, literally the cheapest Bic, mechanical pencil made, where the eraser has broken off. Then, of course, I have my eraser, which I love because and I've got hundreds of refills for it. And believe me, I go through a lot of them. I go through a lot of erasers. So I've got that. And then I've got my workhorse, which is my number 5, which I use probably, I don't know, 80% of the time. My number 8, which I use about 10% of the time. My number 3, my number 2. I do have a number 1, the 01, but this is a Staedtler pigment liner because I wore out, and the tip on this is just super, super fine, and I'm afraid that I destroyed the tip on my micron. And then I have the 1.0, which is the big, or this one, that has the more broad point. At any rate, so those are the pens that I use. I am definitely a micron user. So I'm just giving a little bit of definition by changing the weight of my lines. Just on one side. And I'll do the same thing down here. Just gives a little more visual interest and a little bit of texture without actually having to do very much. And so if you are new to my channel or don't often see me, then I would love it if you would consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I also do coloring, and that is probably the main part of what I do here. You can also, I am, an artist who works all the time. I'm constantly posting to social media and things like that. So if you wanted to follow me, you could do that here on Facebook, or there's my Facebook presence, my page, my Instagram, and that'll be followed by Twitter. So then I'm just going to sort of shade in one half of these petals with just a little bit of pointillism, again, just to add a little visual interest. Oh dear, you probably cannot hear it, but there are hundreds of sirens, what sounds like hundreds of sirens going by out on the main street. I am a couple of streets back from the main street, but I can hear the sirens whining. It sounds like a big deal, like there's fire and police and all of that going by. I hope that everybody had a good Monday. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The other other place that we went yesterday, the late night. Well, actually, it's not really late night, but not late night here. But Belinda, Faithful Girl, 1978, is Australia, and it's already Monday when it's our Sunday night. It's like her Monday at noon. So we were there yesterday too. Yesterday's show was crazy with the time change and the lovely folks were trying to, because I am sandwiched right between two European streamers. And of course, the time in America has changed, but the time in Europe has not yet for daylight savings time. So they were so sweet in trying to make room for me, and I was, I finally figured it out that that's really what was happening there. So it made for a fun day. And a few of the Americans, got run over, but that's okay. I mean, we kind of understand. We change, the rest of the world does not yet, and the rest of the world will change, and the stream times will all return to normal. Okay, now the next thing to add are just some little circles here. Now, I do recognize that there are lots of people that don't like to color patterns or symmetrical things or things that repeat. But for everyone out there that doesn't like it, there is another one that does. So I try and do both. Both symmetrical and asymmetrical designs. So, and sometimes in the same drawing, like what I did with Flowers of Fantasy with this drawing that's on the cover. Let me show you that one actually in the book. So as you can see, let me actually back you out on this one. So this has both the symmetry in the center, but then also the asymmetrical work on the outside. So, you know, they don't match each other side to side. They do in certain elements, but not as you know, they're not exactly the same. I love this drawing. I have always loved this drawing. This one was, I was just so delighted with how this one turned out. But so that's what I mean about symmetrical and asymmetrical. And that is, I think, the road that I'm headed on with this as well. I will be doing, I don't think I'm going to keep it as a round mandala. I think that it's going to be this symmetrical part here with asymmetrical design work out here. And as soon as I figure out what that is, I will come back and draw it for you. Stay tuned.